It was 2:40 in the morning on November 28, 1953. A man fell 13 stories from a hotel window in midtown Manhattan. He hit the sidewalk in front of the Statler Hotel and died instantly. Police found his room key, his wallet, a broken watch frozen at 2:45. No suicide note. The death was ruled a suicide before sunrise. The man was Frank Olson. He was 43 years old, a husband, a father of 3. And he worked for the United States government. He worked at a place called Camp Detrick in Frederick, Maryland, a top-secret Army research facility where scientists developed biological weapons for the CIA. 9 days before he fell from that window, something happened to him in a cabin in Maryland. Something his own colleagues would spend 22 years trying to cover up. It was a retreat at Deep Creek Lake, a small gathering of Army scientists and CIA men. Drinks were poured. Conspiracy theories and dirty jokes were traded around the fireplace. One of those men was Sidney Gottlieb. Gottlieb was head of a top-secret CIA program called MK Ultra. You've heard the name, but you have never heard what they actually did to Frank Olson. At some point that evening, Gottlieb poured a bottle of Cointreau. Olson had 1 glass. What he didn't know was that Gottlieb had laced the bottle with LSD. Not a recreational dose, a CIA interrogation dose. This was 9 days before his death. Within hours, Olson was not himself. He became agitated, paranoid. He told his colleagues he had made a terrible mistake. He wanted to quit his job. He wanted to leave the program. The CIA did not let him quit. Instead, they told him he was having a nervous breakdown. They put him on a plane to New York. They checked him into the Statler Hotel on 7th Avenue under an assumed name. Room 1018A on the 13th floor. They assigned him a CIA doctor named Robert Lashbrook to keep an eye on him. Lashbrook was in the room the night Frank Olson fell. According to the official story, Olson got out of bed in the middle of the night, walked past the sleeping Lashbrook, ran across the dark hotel room, dove head-first through a closed window, and fell 13 stories to the sidewalk. 13 stories, through a closed window. The NYPD report describes the crash. Shards of glass on the bed, the curtain rod ripped from the wall. Lashbrook sitting calmly on the bed when police arrived, wallet in hand. He told them his friend had jumped. No note, no warning, no cry for help. The case was closed in 24 hours. Suicide. For 22 years, Frank Olson's wife and 3 children believed their husband and father had killed himself in a moment of madness. Then, 1975 happened. The Church Committee hearings in the United States Senate began to pry open the CIA's most classified programs. And the Olson family learned about the LSD. They learned about MK Ultra. They learned that the man in the room when their father fell, Robert Lashbrook, had been his CIA handler, not his doctor. Congress held hearings. President Ford invited the family to the White House. The CIA settled with them for $750,000, and the Director of Central Intelligence issued a public apology. But apologies don't answer questions. In 1994, Frank Olson's son Eric had his father's body exhumed. 41 years after the funeral. A team of forensic pathologists led by Professor James Starrs of George Washington University examined what was left. What they found did not match the story. There was a large hematoma, a heavy blow, on the left side of Frank Olson's forehead. A blow consistent with being struck by a heavy object before the fall. A blow that would have knocked him unconscious. They found no defensive wounds on his arms, no cuts from breaking through a glass window, no shards in his hands or forearms. A man who launches himself through a closed window does not land without a single cut. The forensic team's conclusion was written carefully. They said the evidence was rankly suggestive of homicide, not proven, but suggestive. The CIA has never reopened the case. The window in room 1018A was replaced within days. The hotel was demolished. The men who were there are all dead. Sidney Gottlieb, Robert Lashbrook, every CIA officer who was at that cabin retreat, all dead, all before they could be forced to answer questions. What we know for certain is this: a scientist who wanted to leave a secret CIA program was drugged against his will. He was held against his will for 9 days. He fell 13 stories from a window in a room with a CIA handler who gave contradictory statements to police, and his body showed evidence of being struck before he fell. The government called it suicide. You can draw your own conclusion. I'm Mr. Gray. Welcome to Unknown Paths, where every shadow has a story. The question isn't whether a man died in a hotel room in 1953. The question is how many other Frank Olsons there have been that we never learned about, and where their bodies are buried.